about to piss and now I'm frying competition. Burn my way to top position. Scared of heat, fuck out the kitchen.
Let him cook.
Let me cook.
Let him cook.
Let me cook.
Let him cook.
Let me cook. Let me cook.
Bro,
Yo,
I ain't gonna lie, that was clean.
that was nice.
That was fun. Well,
So, speaking
it's
of
fun.
cooking, I got a catering tomorrow, feeding 100 people.
Hey, like it says, let him cook.
That's it, baby.
So, man, it's Friday.
Yes, sir. Time for a beautiful weekend. I'm super stoked.
SmackDown, week away from the NFL. Well, actually, we would have just been, as of 1 week from now, bro, we'll be looking into round 2 of the NFL draft.
Yes, yes, yes. Tonight will a week from tonight will be the second and third rounds of the NFL draft, and it's going to be a big one. There's a lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah, there is. And speaking of that, man, Monday, we're starting to get coverage of it. Mock drafts.
Yeah, I'm looking over it, and I'll have a final answer to you by probably Sunday as to how what I'm looking at as far as the mock draft. I'm thinking about just going the first 3 rounds, probably doing the first round live on the show, and then probably have or the first round pre-recorded, and do the second and the third round live on the show. For that. But there's a little information I'm waiting on as far as there's a potential trade that I feel what I've heard has come up, and it's the New England Patriots. There's even the Chargers. There's a top 5 pick in the Chargers. The Chargers really don't need a quarterback. And they virtually have almost the first pick in the draft, if you think about it, with the all these quarterbacks that are really highly valued in the first 2 to 4 picks, all the way from Caleb Williams to Jaden Daniels, all the way down to Bo Nix, who they're expecting to be potentially maybe a first-round pick, maybe fall out and go in the second round, as well as Michael Penix. But yeah, I'm super stoked. And then speaking of draft, next week we have double duty with draft as we get started with the WWE draft, which will entail what everybody should pay attention to is the beginning of the final list of order of where you're going to see heads lay their heads down. People lay their heads down on their pillows at night, whether it be Raw or SmackDown, because this brand-specific wrestling is really going to be initiated here coming soon, and you're only going to see certain wrestlers on certain shows. So take heed to that.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll kind of talk about it, bro. There's potential returns, debuts. One of them that I'm possibly looking forward to is this one. There's been rumors of a potential Wyatt 6 reunion coming about. And before I get into any details about it, I just want to get your initial reactions.
Well, for me personally, I talked on this subject a few weeks ago, and even then, I bought into your opinion of it might be too soon with the passing of Bray Wyatt being so recent. And it's just, look, it was a really devastating blow to the wrestling community. Not just the Wyatt family, not just his wrestling cohorts, not just the WWE universe. The wrestling industry really became affected because he has, in the last 10 years, started a transformation in the way creativity is looked at. He is part of the reason that we're watching this, this creativity explode into our TV sets.
Well, and I mean, we'll talk about it. He's the reason that you have these cinematic esque matches. I mean, he really opened the door. And before we go any further into it, let me put the names out there that I'm seeing rumored.
Oh, okay.
Of course, you got Uncle Howdy being Taylor
Yeah,
Rotunda, Bo Dallas.
right.
You got
I've heard another return.
I've heard Eric Redbeard Rowan is
Yeah,
potentially gearing up as an opportunity. Now, these are not set in stone, so do not take our word for this. These are just
absolutely.
hypotheticals that have been floating around. As we all know, we don't write the damn story, they do. We just speculated. But Braun Strowman, Alexa Bliss, and Matt freaking Hardy.
Yes, yes.
The deleter of worlds coming to kind of pay a homage. And I'm also hearing that with that only being 5, there's going to be almost like that Sister Abigail esque persona, but it's
Gotcha,
gonna be
gotcha, gotcha.
it'll be tailored more towards what I'm hearing being Bray and Luke Harper, just kind of something. And again, it's all speculation. I know they don't have full detail, but potentially both of them combining to do a kind of like a tribute thing.
Dude,
So I
I can
think that would
so
be
see
really
every
cool.
one of those. Like watching, excuse me, watching that Bray Wyatt documentary, and being an in-depth, involved, a fan of the sport as I am. I go in detail to personal pages and I follow them personally, and I see these people, and every one of those people on that list were like this with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah,
And I can see every one of those dudes and Alexa Bliss, that chick, which she's one of the dudes, anyways. Um, I could see that, and I could see that. And mind you, I could see that becoming a bigger storyline than the Bloodline.
well, I mean, it could, but like Ben even says, how long can they run this thing before it just feels like the balloon being off the rose? And I understand that sentiment right there because, yes, as much as we'd love to see it, it would be great. I mean, the initial part of it would be, bro, it'd be fucking phenomenal, to
Mm-hmm.
have these guys. But it really is just and the only way it'll work is if it's a bridge for all of them to kind of go their separate ways.
Yeah,
It'd be
yeah.
and maybe not, and it doesn't have to be long term. It does not have to be a long term story with the entire thing.
No, no, no.
You could, I mean, honestly, you could run it for a little bit and still have these characters like Alexa wrestling full time. Does Bo Dallas come back full time? Like Bray would do with the Fiend character, or like
Yeah,
Finn would do with the Demon character. Do you bring that Uncle Howdy character out often? So I like where Ben's at with it, and I agree.
yeah,
I think that would be absolutely just fucking phenomenal coming out of this draft. It'd be kind of a really cool way to bring him in. Another one I have
I
heard as well. Oh, go ahead.
ooh. Go well to end on that. I could definitely see something. I personally, if time would allow it, I know the fans are going to push for this really hard, but if time would allow it, if we could have this start to be created and pop off in next year when we get on Netflix and the ratings are a little different, so we can get that storyline potential reached at its maximum height.
Yeah.
Working that up
You
to
know what? Hang
WrestleMania.
on. You know what? We'll run it back for 1 second back onto this. It is. This is like, Guns N' Roses without Axel and,
Yeah,
Metallica.
I agree.
but in a way, it's different though
You
because
got
to where
to me, you do it for that short period of time, like you were saying, and you pay homage and then allow these wrestlers just to branch off and do their own thing.
absolutely. Now back to this topic right here.
This is
Potential
it.
potential Bullet Club faction could be built within the WWE, and not only could it potentially be built, it already exists. When you already have your original members such as Finn Balor, AJ Styles, Carl Anderson of the Good Brothers, also Doc Gallows, and then you
Yeah.
add in Tama Tonga. You also add in the second self-proclaimed leader in Cody Rhodes, his wife
Mm-hmm.
Brandy Rhodes,
Mm-hmm.
and more could be added. What are your thoughts to this?
Just from that relevancy of knowing who you have in there, and just figuring half to 2/3 of them will be the ones that really join you. I couldn't see a faction that big. It would be crazy to think that. But at the same time, the Bullet Club is an insanely popular and very, very good faction. It has been a very successful faction in New Japan Wrestling a long time, and the biggest part of the faction was, just to name three, and we're going to take. We're going to take the Good Brothers and push them to the side, and just name three individuals. I'm looking at AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Cody Rhodes. Those three wrestlers alone, if you put those three wrestlers together on the same page, night in and night out, who are you going to get to stop them?
There is nobody.
Wow.
And speaking of factions that potentially could be bigger than the Bloodline when we get to that Netflix era, here we go, man. This is it. This is your NWO 2.0.
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
no. This is your NWO 2.0 done correctly.
Yes.
This is one of those, like, when we look back on this in 10, 15 years, hell, bro, even the way we look at it 10 years later, this is one of the top factions in wrestling. It really is one of the top factions in the independent circuit.
Yeah, no doubt, without a doubt.
And I mean, if everything runs its course the way speculations are being told, you could potentially do a Bloodline versus Bullet Club deal at hell, bro, War Games down the line, which in that time frame you could easily see a storyline building around Tama Tonga about which side are you on, and of course we have seen it before, when it came to Sammy and the War Games with Bloodline and Kevin Owens. So it would be kind of a throwback to it, but it would be a different way of putting it.
Yeah, I personally would like to see. I would like to see that. I would enjoy a Bloodline faction feud with another faction, whether it be the Bullet Club or whether it be another faction, the Wyatt Six. Look, I wasn't ever huge on factions because even growing up, my theory was, you got a problem with me, I'm punching you in the mouth, and that's all I'm worried about. I don't fight with jumping people and all this, and that's part of what factions do. Whether you're good or bad, that's just the way it turns out, and it's part of the script. But for me theologically, I'm like, I was never a fan in the beginning, but in the last year and 2 years or so, these factions have been popping up here and there, and there's been a few fails, like epic fails, but there have been some really solid factions. And I'm enjoying this moving forward, and the conversation about other factions as the Bullet Club and potentially the Wyatt Six coming in to pay tribute, but not only pay tribute, like every one of those wrestlers are great wrestlers. They're really good sports entertainers, and I'd love to see them all in the ring.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, bro, there's bro, I can already think of at least 2 dozen matches that I would love to see pertaining to Bullet Club and everywhere else. I mean, bro, you can even run the Bullet Club as an invasion angle.
Yes.
You
Yes.
get Paul Heyman, mouthpiece for the Bullet Club. Oh, bro, there's no way.
No, you want me to tell you who I'd like Paul Heyman to be with? I'd like him to bring his ball cap out, right? I'd like him to put his leather jacket on, okay? And I'd like for Dean Ambrose to come back to the WWE, and I'd like for him to lead the Shield.
You're not. You're
not going to see that. I don't think that. I think that's one you're not going to see.
You won't. And as much as I'd love to see something like that, we've already seen a Shield reincarnation, and we've seen how well that was received. I mean, truth is, bro, a lot of wrestling fans are fickle.
Very much so. Very fickle.
Like fickle to a point of they will be all right with it today, but by next week they're already calling for change. I mean, look at the whole Cody Rhodes situation. I mean, you got fans that were like, I mean, a lot of us, bro, we were riding the high on that story. We wanted him to finish that story.
Right, no doubt.
As soon as he finishes the story, he's too boring on the mic. Oh, he's not a real champion. Oh, he only can cut a couple promos. Oh, he's boring in the ring.
And it didn't take long.
Bro, it literally took 2 weeks because we haven't seen Cody in the ring at all outside of in a suit with the championship cutting promos. I mean, bro, I've even seen people get to a point of turning around and saying, "Oh, I don't like how he's holding the championship," but yet the same people have family members and even themselves that are in that older generation bitching that were watching guys like Ric Flair hold the title that way.
Right.
And they were, that's the greatest thing next to sliced bread. So, I mean, this is just
very fickle.
Very fickle. You know what's not fickle? WrestleMania could possibly be moving to May according to Fightful Select.
Ooh. I wonder why.
I mean, I can't really think of a logical reason. And I mean, not to sound like that person, because I'm not. I personally don't care when the hell you have WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm also the same person that believes that if we're going to call this the Super Bowl for the wrestling community, why don't we have that around the same time as the Super Bowl?
The marketing for that is hard, though.
It would be, but it also comes to ideas like that. I mean,
I'm thinking about it, and it sounds fantastic, but at the same time, those are really two epic. Those are two epic events.
Yeah. Imagine, bro, having to figure out if wrestling fans are going to show up to your Super Bowl or not.
Yeah, I doubt it would ever be on the same weekend.
Oh, no. But just think about it. If it was.
Because you got it 2 weeks apart. You can't afford $10,000 2 weeks apart if you can't afford $10,000 once in a lifetime,
Yeah. Bro, but that would. I don't know. There's a lot behind it from what I'm understanding. So it's just, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to cut back.
I'm curious to hear more. I'm curious to hear more about that.
Now, speaking of WrestleMania, We might know our next location, my man, and it could be in Sin City.
Can you imagine? Like, can you imagine the bougie ass shit would be going on
I
during
mean,
WrestleMania week in
not even,
Vegas? Like, wow.
not even that, my man. But think about this.
Wow.
Remember that Raw roulette wheel?
Yeah.
What if you have a
Ooh.
couple matches decided off that roulette wheel,
Oh.
and you have Eric Bischoff coming back to spin that wheel?
That would be classic.
I mean, that it would be, dog. It could be crazy if this really
That
happens.
would be nuts if that actually happened. I'm just saying.
I'm all for it though.
Me as well.
So I think that's one
WrestleMania.
that could be
Vegas.
one we gotta hit.
That would be an expensive weekend.
That'd be one hell of a weekend.
Man, I'm
Now,
getting trouble.
speaking of WrestleMania and all of that, imagine the possibility of two, actually not only one but two mid-card women's titles, and I'm hearing names of everything from the Women's United States Championship to the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Of course, laying claim to what's already there. But I'm also hearing things like the International Championship. I'm, you know what? Instead of what would you name it?
You know what? I'd stop. To me, the women's revolution is when I couldn't stand women's wrestling, right?
Yeah,
Look, as a 10-year-old, I was opening up penthouses and Playboys with my dad and not my dad, my dad's Playboys and penthouses with my brother and cousins, So, like, watching women wrestling and then Sports Illustrated, it really didn't entertain me. I didn't catch it. I mean, yeah, there were hot chicks sometimes, whatever, but like, as far as wrestling, I never caught on.
yeah. I was gonna
When
say, I think we
I had a
really.
few. I had a few, that were entertaining. Lita was very
Yeah,
entertaining to
I was
me.
gonna say there was a few that I think we all appreciated, and yes,
Yeah,
based on them being attractive, whatever. Because yeah, at
right.
that time, I'll agree with you, bro. Women's
Skill
wrestling was
level was here. Skill level was here, really.
I mean, not even. They
I'm
were.
being generous.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was more. It felt like they were better off as valets and managers as
Yeah.
opposed to wrestlers.
When they
And
transitioned the women into wrestling, really, it never took off, but they never did anything with it at the same time. But fast forwarding to my point, I was never a fan, but when the women's revolution came out, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Bailey, when those women came out, you could see the insane amount of athleticism, and it has only gotten better. Now, that being said, that was history making. So, in my opinion, if they're creating titles, even if it's mid card, they don't need to piggyback off of a damn anything that's been done in the past. They need to give these women their due and create something original.
I agree. I think when it comes to it, it does need to be an original type thing. That being said, I'm noticing how everything kind of has a similar look.
Yeah,
So
I
that
agree.
the one thing is I hope when they do this, they do it right.
Yeah, because you can't. This is not something you can like go back on almost.
Yeah, it like I said, man, this is something that you are going to have to do and make sure you do it right. Now, speaking of doing it and doing it right, we seen our beloved Chad Gable go from helping Sami Zayn play Rocky in his win over Gunther at WrestleMania to now turning heel and beating the living shit out of Sammy, as we talked about Monday after the show.
Yeah.
Now, what do you, before I go into detail, actually, team angle look is what they're going for. Knowing this and seeing on the screen who he could be teaming up with, what are your thoughts on this whole perspective?
I like it. I think it should have been done. For one, let's go back to the guy that they're paying homage to. If this is something that they're going with, I think it's got to be something that's going to be related to a team angle thing. Look, you've got the history of it. You've got all of these guys in the ring. You're talking about Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. Insane amount of athleticism and talent. The Creed brothers are young, they're developing and they're growing and they're getting really good. I've seen a lot of their matches in NXT and in the WWE so far. And Chad Gable has really increased his clout as a WWE superstar in the last 6 months to a year. He's increased a female wrestler and her talent and skill level and brought her to the forefront. And Otis is just always going to be Otis, but he made Otis a little bit more relevant when his tag team split up. But I am truly excited about the potential of seeing these three in a faction, and I think it will definitely be a golden faction if you catch my drift with these three. I really believe that.
The
And to me, let me finish it up by saying this. And to me, you start that off with a heel run.
You do. You start off with and this is reading this and thinking about it. I have a few questions before we start running this way. One, what are you doing with Alpha Academy? Two, what are you doing with Ivy Nile? Because she's attached to the Creed brothers, even though a lot of us aren't really catching that the recollection. Now, the only thing I can think of on this,
Yeah.
and maybe I read into it a little bit too much, maybe I don't. Do we get Maxine Dupree turning heel with Chad Gable? And do you get her teaming with Ivy Nile? And them becoming one of those factions that you have the women's tag team titles, the men's tag team titles, whether it be from Raw or SmackDown, and then you got Chad Gable with the singles championship?
That's very interesting, bro. Putting it that way really makes them look outstanding, actually. I mean, you obviously still got a little bit of developing to do with Maxine Dupree. But I believe you're talking a year from now, you get build this faction up for a few months. A year from now, at a Royal Rumble or a WrestleMania, you crown them champions. I could see that. I could see that. I could see that being that big. I could also see at least one of those two women joining for sure this particular faction. I would honestly be more likely to think Ivy Nile.
Well, and you
Because
brought up,
again, for a long time, she's been attached to the Creed brothers for a long time.
well, I'm gonna speculate, but I do believe she is with one of them. That put aside, and you talking about needing to develop Maxine more than what she already is. What better way to do that than align her with a complete wrestling faction such as whatever this Chad Gable Creed brothers thing could do? Because just think of it, they're trying hard and almost seems like desperately attempting to get Maxine Dupree to improve in the ring. Not
Yeah.
saying that she hasn't, because you have seen a lot of improvements in her game. But if you attached her with Ivy Nile, who she's been with for the last couple of weeks, and then you ran her along with the Creeds and Gable, I mean, there's a lot that could happen, especially seeing how this Candice LeRae turn is going. If it doesn't go the right way, I mean, Maxine could be, because we're kind of running out of spots and places for these females to all be baby faces.
Yeah, you actually are. Because and to be honest with you, I mean, when you say it like that, for the development of a potential really decent talent, it makes more sense to put her with,
Mhm.
that faction, because again, she's got familiarity and comfortability with Chad Gable from working with him for so long with Alpha Academy. And then, moving forward, you've got, again, world class wrestlers
Yeah.
to learn from day in and day out, traveling with them, training with them, wrestling with them, booking with them, eating with them. So yeah, I could definitely see that. And honestly, a year from that point, you could really see a highly skilled Maxine Dupree just blowing up the scene.
And you could. I mean, think about it. She could be not the next face, but she could be one of the top players for a while, especially especially right now, bro. I do feel like WWE is attempting a little bit more of a growth than they have in the past. It seems like they're
I'm
trying
gonna tell
to.
you, a female wrestler I've got my eye on that people should keep an eye on. Talking about female wrestling,
Mhm.
Tiff Stratton. It's Tiffy time. Look,
Oh, well,
whew, that girl's gonna be. She's got a highly promising future.
oh, absolutely.
She's good, and she just got started.
Yeah. Well, we're at that halfway point of the show, and me and you were kind of talking about it off script. So let's kind of bring it out to everybody and start getting it out there. At this moment, we are looking to do kind of a segue into our halfway point of the show, because once football starts getting more in tune, we are going to have a lot more topics to be cramming into this type of show, instead of dragging it out the way we have been lately. So we want to leave it up to you guys as well, the viewers, the listeners, on what this segment should be called. So do us a favor, leave us comments on both the 88 page, the Plunder page, even in this video. Let us know what you would like to see as, what are we going to call it? Manic Minute?
Yeah, this is the idea I had. Well, like I was telling you earlier, one of my favorite guys to watch on TV as a young kid, because I was a jock when I was a kid, was Chris Berman, and the love for the passion for sports that guy had was outstanding. It was crazy, and that drew me in. And being a football junkie as I am, they do this on Monday Night Countdown, or Monday, the Sunday Night Countdown, or whatever it is. They do a segue with Chris Berman, a little segment with Chris Berman, and it was called like the fastest 3 minutes in the NFL or something like that. And he would go on there and he would boom, bang, he would be like John Madden on crack when he talked. It was fantastic. I love that shit. So and I'm Manic Buck, and if you've ever met me, especially at a tailgate in that kind of environment, man, I am nuts. You go check my Facebook page out. It's all posted out there. I've put it out there for the public to see, because I'm proud of who I am and I love my team. And that energy that I exude is the same energy that I'm trying to feed. Huh?
I said you were manic as fuck.
Yeah, buddy. Let me tell you what. So it kind of fits the suit, but and you go along and remember how Chris Berman would get in those little segments. I'm thinking about bringing that segment, something similar to that, and it involves, both the wrestling. It can involve the wrestling or the football side. But what I'm going to do is we've got topics that we keep here on the show, and everybody knows what kind of topics those are. But what I'm going to focus on is finding something in the NFL or in the wrestling industry that was kind of off the wall, a little crazy as anything. And I'm going to talk about that, but I'm going to bring that persona out. I'm going to bring out the Manic Buck persona. I'm going to be fully gamed out. I'm going to be my game day gear. I'm going to give it to you raw. So when we do this, this is something that we have discussed, and we want to bring it to you, like he said, and get you guys to help create and come up with a name. When if you've got something, post it in the on the page. Send us a DM. Comment on the videos, any way you can get that. I'll tell you what, let's go with today is the 19th. Let's go with June the 1st. We're going to have voting starting June the 1st. That gives a little time because we have plenty of time before the football season starts, and that's really when this is going to really start kicking off, is around summertime, when we have that split of the show, because we're going to have a ton of NFL information. And I've got some things personal going on, but I want to let everybody know, reiterate what I said a few weeks ago. We're going to start focusing a lot on the UFL as well and bring that in. We might not focus a lot on it this season, but that's not going anywhere. And we're going to continue to focus and shift a lot of focus on the UFL as well as the NFL and WWE.
Absolutely. And what's up, Miguel? That's one thing that, yeah, we are going to be focusing on a lot more. But again, like he was saying, we'll do it this way. From now until June 1st, drop your favorite names on what you would like to see it called. From now until June 1st, we will collect these names. The top 5 names that we do believe, we will put them up for a vote from June 1st until June 15th. We'll narrow it down to 3, and then we'll do voting that way.
We'll do voting live. The final vote will be done on a show, and will be done live.
Actually, the winner will be unveiled live.
That's what he said.
We'll make it easier. Now, getting back to the Powerbomb part of the night. You know what time it is.
Yes, sir. It's Friday night, SmackDown,
Yes,
and
sir.
the most. Look, I don't care what you say. Bloodline. That's all I care about right now. I want to see something. I want to hear something. I want to know something.
I mean, you hit it on it. What's next for the Bloodline, man? I mean, we've seen Tama Tonga pop up. We've seen Solo smash Paul Heyman's phone when he tried to call, when it was to call Roman Reigns. He was named a tribal heir a few months ago.
Yes,
And
he was.
while we still got a few minutes, there's a lot. There's stuff being told also, Possible
Look, this would
Bloodline
make
Civil War.
This would make absolute sense, but it would also, I think, would also be a great segue to us actually getting Roman Rock next WrestleMania.
Well, it'd also get us to have Roman Rock both coming back. It's enough to fill the void while they are both gone. Also on tonight,
You start building that feud and feeding that divide.
One thing we're building tonight too is the card for Backlash. Tonight we will find out who will be facing A-Town down at Backlash when we have a fatal 4-way number 1 contenders match between the Street Profits, AOP. We have the New Kex Republic, and we also have Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo with the Familia, whatever the hell they're calling themselves.
New Kex Republic.
New Czech Republic. All right,
Yep.
I'm gonna go with it as well because I seen where that story was going with it, and I guess I see more.
I would like to see those two sides go at each other.
I would too, and honestly, there's just too much going on with Final Testament and Street Profits for me to
Yeah,
buy
for
put
some
them.
reason they're not detached yet.
No, and especially when you got Final Testament popping up in NXT, that kind of
Yeah.
gives me a little bit of a thing.
Yep.
And what could be one of the biggest matches of the night, AJ Styles and LA Knight got their rubber match, with the winner going to be facing Cody for the Universal Championship at Backlash. Actually, I take that back. It is the WWE Undisputed Championship.
Good correction. I'm going with AJ Styles right here. I think it's, and this is not a knock of any reason, but I just think that an AJ Styles, Cody Rhodes segment program makes much more sense right now. I really believe LA Knight should be focusing on a particular U.S. championship. And I think I would love to see him and Logan Paul go at it. Can you imagine the promos in that match, in
Oh,
that program?
yeah,
Holy
that
cow!
that would be crazy.
But I think it's time for AJ Styles to get back to doing what AJ Styles does, and that's fight for titles.
Well,
That's what AJ does.
well, this is where I also spoke of earlier with the potential Bullet Club
Mhm.
beef, building over time. Of course, you're not
Yep.
going to have Cody drop the championship to AJ. As we both are predicting, AJ Styles comes out of tonight's match as your winner and will be facing
Yep.
Cody. I'm calling it because in all of the indie promotions and even the WWE, these two men have never crossed paths, and we are seeing way too much of the writing on the wall for me to believe that we're not going to get this encounter at least one time. Now,
No doubt. No doubt.
with that being said, all I hope is they let these boys cook and get to doing what they do best, and that is putting on one hell of a damn show.
Yes, sir. Those two
Hoping
would be phenomenal.
hoping for somebody to put on a damn show. Bailey is going to defend her women's title tonight, and what is potentially going to be the main event against Naomi.
I got Bailey retaining. Unless there's something we don't know, an injury that she's got to leave, I can't see her dropping that title right now.
Yeah, and
I think this is also to build Naomi back up.
I think it's to build Naomi up, but I also think that it's a little too soon to just throw her back into some title picture, in any sort of way.
Yeah,
It just
I agree.
feels like right now it just feels like they're trying to figure out where to put her. And I get it, her being the TNA knockout champion a couple months ago. Great, fun, awesome. That's not here. I don't think she's that talent to be the champion at the moment. Not saying that
I agree.
I'm not saying don't give her a title at any point. But women's title right now, nah. So yeah,
Too soon.
I'm with you on Bailey. So we got 2 minutes. It's been a fun show. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Final thoughts. I'm uber thankful that all the crap that I've been going through in the last week, taking care of all this stuff in my personal life behind me, and it is draft week to focus. But tomorrow, just want to let everybody know, be looking out through my personal page. I've got another page that I'll share on the group page. But I'm coming out with my first branded sauce. It's going to be a honey sriracha barbecue. So keep a lookout for that. I'm really going to start putting my product out there.
Hell yeah. We'll get more insight on that on Monday from you because we gotta hear about that. I'll talk to you more about it this weekend too. So
Absolutely.
draft week, all that coming up Monday. Get ready for a good show. I'm gonna have some time on my hands for the day, so we'll have some fun, man. Until Monday,
Absolutely.
y'all be safe.
Later. Be safe. Peace, love, and chicken grease.